planet.
Yeah, well,
What's going on, Katie?
the good thing about this too is I get all the file, the replay here locally. I don't have to go through a third party. Yeah. Okay, so
and that delay does get better, Katie.
It'll get better. It's got nothing to do with the program. It's got to do with it. And the other thing this does is that anytime you have like any type of interference or anything, it'll usually work itself out by the time it gets put out there for a while. Let's just make sure people are here. There comes, I see one now. Okay. There should be a counter at the top of the thing. It's not. It'll go up and down, kind of fluctuate as it picks up and it
Can we reply to comments on here?
Yeah, you should be able to. You can only comment on YouTube. Yeah, if the bottom of the comment box it says add a comment. Here, I'll put one in.
Oh, I don't have that.
You don't have that? You should have that. I would think. See, there, mine just popped in. What is your box?
Yeah, I see. It says nothing. It's just a black box. There's no comment box or anything for me to respond to anybody.
Okay.
I can see you've said well.
Okay.
I can see your
All right.
At least we can answer them.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's right. You'll be able to see them real time. Okay. Check the volume. It looks good. Interview guest. And then this, and we'll flip this off. All right, welcome everybody. It's January the 20th in the Northern Hemisphere, January 21st in the Southern Hemisphere. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of crazy stuff going on. I'm sure Gareth and Katie will be speaking to this very quickly. So I just want to say hello to everybody real quick and get this thing kind of tipped off, and I'm going to sit back and watch it with everybody else. Y'all have a great show, and I'll talk to you later. Okay.
Thanks, Todd.
Yeah. I know what's going on. I'm having a bad hair day.
I think the whole planet is.
I just sent everybody a link, an Instagram link that said that this week is astrologically just huge, and that after this week we won't be the same again.
Yes.
This week specifically.
Yeah, you might have. There's a really great. What is he? He's a geophysicist called Stephen Burns. Who's got
I love him.
He does a lot. He's great, isn't he? Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was talking about the near Carrington event level geostorm that just hit the planet. And I'm hearing a lot about that being a big marker, that now a lot of stuff will come out. And so, yeah, we could get into that. We had a bit of a chat yesterday about the whole time thing. Katie and I did.
Oh, you and I did? What about the whole time thing? Remind me.
Well, messing with timelines, and there are a whole lot of corrupt timelines that have come off this timeline, and time travel, and it's all connected. Sounds like who we got? And
yeah, see, I'm not keen on having the comments on the screen. I'm not.
No? Okay.
No. That's okay. I'm gonna keep looking at. I'll keep looking at YouTube.
Excuse me, drinking. Yeah. So, what's going on for you, Katie?
I don't know. I was just telling Ann I don't know what the hell we're going to talk about because we've been talking for hours for the last 2 days.
It kind of feels like that, doesn't it? It's like.
Well, you were kind of out of commission for a long time after the coma, and I didn't talk to you, for a couple of weeks. I mean, regularly or anything. And then the last 2 days, all of a sudden, it was really, really dark. I've had multiple people reach out and just say they're having suicidal thoughts and they don't know what's going on. And yeah, so I imagine that's why you and I got on the call.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's right. So I think we can get on a roll from there. Just got to pull it into a coherent starting point so we can. And look, feel free, anyone in the chat, if you've got a question or just want to share something, just fire away, and Katie can pick up on it, and that might help us to all kind of pull it together. Because there's a
Yeah.
lot going on and it covers a lot of ground. And you're talking about, I mean, what's playing out on this planet's never happened in the history of the universe before. The human race is unique in the universe. This planet is unique in the universe. There's a lot to it, and there's a lot of investment in those of the interferences. God described them to me in making sure what they might want to happen happens. Now they've already lost. But
Yeah.
the scope of who they are and what they were trying to achieve is pretty big, and they're throwing everything at it.
And everyone's
So,
feeling it.
and everyone's feeling it. Absolutely. Now, there are two forces at play. So, Wendy Kennedy she channels the Pleiadians, and she said a few great things, the Pleiadians through her. They talk about the frequency. I can recommend getting on her channel, actually. It's a membership, but she does light language. Although the Pleiadians do a light language thing through her, and there's lots of different versions of it, and they match for different specific frequencies. And there's a sort of visual and maybe like a phrase to help you tune into what's going on. Some of them are free, I think, on her website, and some of them you get more in the channel. When I spoke to God in '97, the first thing he did before he spoke was exactly that light language. It was kind of like that light language to a factor of 10. It was incredible, actually. And the person sitting next to me, we both just turned and looked at each other. That person had been sitting in the room doing what I was experiencing for a couple of months before I got there, and she'd never seen that before. So he did something really powerful with his light language. So I can highly recommend doing it. It'll help you a lot. Just deal with what's going on. Wendy
Never
Kennedy.
seen light language before?
Well, it's something you hear, but
Yeah.
it's
I've seen it for years. I've heard people do it for years, but I don't ever have any feelings about it. I never get activations, or I never get anything.
Yeah, look, and this is the thing, like at the time, I mean, this is God doing light language, but with a lot of, and this is a good thing to get your head around, I think, you're not going to see the importance or the power of what you've just experienced in the big picture sense until later. So some very, very key important things can happen, like very major things can happen, but in the moment they happen, you won't recognize necessarily it on that level. So it kind of punches through that conscious layer and goes right deep where the source of the problem is and transforms something on a very deep level. Then that takes time to play out. And consciously, you probably won't connect the dots till later. But that's one of the things that's really difficult and important about what's happening right now for everyone around the world. Remember, a lot of people have never, for a lot of us, we've been questioning things for varying degrees of time and varying degrees of level for a long time. But for a lot of people being pulled into this now, they've never really gone anywhere like this before. They have no experience with dealing with spiritual, and that's fundamentally what's happening. The spiritual and the physical are being put back together again the way they always should have been. And they've never really had to go there before. So
I never did. I didn't have a clue.
that's
I
right.
was
And you fell
not
off a cliff.
on a conscious spiritual path for my entire life.
Yeah. And then when
Light language does nothing for me. I speak my own to myself, and that helps, but I cringe when I hear others. Yeah, I just, like, you get a lot out of Wendy Kennedy's community. I left it. she's lovely, whatever, but I left it. I found the interface and the website really just confusing.
Yeah, it can be. I mean, sometimes you got to let stuff go through to the keeper and just take what's there. Really, for me, it was just about the experience in the moment of the light language. Everything around that was like secondary, and it was unimportant. So for me, that stuff it's less important to me. And different people relate to this stuff on different levels. And look, for some people, some things are more important depending on where they're at than others. So yeah, exactly. Read it as you want. But the main point
Yeah,
I was really bringing.
the one thing that I'm finding a lot of people we listen to or I listen to, including Wendy and David Clement and I don't know, a few others, is the whole time thing and open contact that it's been even moved up even further. Like everyone's saying 2026 now, 2026, 2026. For years, as long as I've been, since my awakening, it's been 2027. And now everyone's like 2026.
Oh, I'm looking before that. It was indefinite. Not for
Unknown.
another. Yeah,
Will it
unknown. Not for
even?
75
Yeah.
years. Exactly. Well, and that's because it's based on our consciousness, our readiness to receive it,
We must be like
and
skyrocketing in consciousness. Like, I mean, I
massive.
saw a reel recently that consciousness cannot be expanded because it's like not in that way, but like it is what it is. It's awareness that's expanded. Consciousness is always
Exactly.
there. It's awareness yeah. But
Yes, that's
yeah, we
consciousness.
must be, go on.
Well, consciousness and mind are two different things. So consciousness and thought comes second. Consciousness comes first. Because, like I always say, who is aware of the first thought you ever had? Because thought is
Well,
verbal. You
yeah,
can't think, oh,
it's that whole you brought this to my awareness is that Descartes was deep state because like everybody goes around quoting I think therefore I am, but that's the inversion. I am therefore I think.
therefore you think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's consciousness. That's the whole thing. And you can't define it. You can't put a box on it. It's infinite. And it's, yeah, it is what it is, and it's a living thing in the living moment. And the universe is a conscious energy. We're a conscious energy. That's what unifies us, and it's all present in this living moment. And thought, the problem with thought is it's if you let it run the show, it pulls you out of the moment and puts you in future past, and that's what
And that's
disconnects
all by
everybody.
design.
That's all by
That's
design. Yes, that was
all
done
by
by design.
design. I mean, when David Clements, like I kind of glazed over in the beginning of his and Pam Gregory's video, which was a fantastic video. Halfway through, he did a channeling and like a meditation, and it felt really, really good. But Pam Gregory said something which is so obvious, but sometimes you can hear things 100 times and it lands very different on the 101st time. And she said, well, we are all, this entire experience, everything is one being.
Hmm.
This is all one
Yes,
thing.
there
That's
is there
why
is no
there
separation.
is no separation. Right, right.
Yeah, it's a single core
Yeah.
frequency, and I was just diamond heart. I feel there. Well, yes, but again, feeling you need to be first. So the way Ramana Maharshi put it, someone said, "Who are you?" He said, "I am the I am, the pure isness itself, the existence itself. Here we are. Here it is. Everything else you say about it or feel from it is secondary, but the existence itself, pure existence, is a bit hard to get your head around, but beingness that you are, the actual isness is who you are. Everything else that comes from that is simply a description of all the infinite variables that pure frequency can take, which is the universe and self-aware life. That's all secondary, but yeah, primarily pure existence is the truth of who we are. the reality of who we are. That's the only thing that is right now. So it's, again, hard to get your head around, but it's something you
It's
can
not.
experience directly.
You said that before. The totality of comprehension, or the totality, what you said, it is not for your human comprehension. Like, we are not in a place to understand
Totality
this
of, totality of understanding is beyond your comprehension.
yes,
That's what God
that's
said
it.
about it. Yeah.
That's it.
And then that keeps you open and fluid and moving and in the moment. And because you can't understand it all at once, but you can meet it in each moment infinitely. And that's the soul. So we come into a being, the light space vehicle, we have an experience in finite, and then we move into another one and another one and another one. Within the life you're in, within a light space vehicle, you do the same thing. You move through each moment, one after the other after the other. So you experience the infinite in one moment at a time, and that just keeps on going infinitely.
Yeah.
But to hold it all in one thought, that you can't do.
Yeah.
It's beyond definition. But yeah, that's right. Yeah, what we were saying, something sort of popped into my attention. You might have heard of the Sumerian tablets. They're scrolls or rolls that have a whole lot of sort of symbolism on them from the ancient Sumerian civilization. They're cylinder seals, and they're not just in Sumeria. They're all around the world. But there's one of the things that's playing out is when I was hearing about this, that there are versions of the human race in other parallel dimensions that have come back through time, and that those scrolls were partly were from them. Something like 40,000 years ahead of us is the terminology that was given. And there are 3 timelines now. This came from another source. This is meant to be connected to the Majestic 12 program, where they're working. There's a sort of secret branch of the military that are working with these interdimensional or other timeline versions of the human race, because they're corruptions. So, that goes back to Atlantis, but it also goes back to the reason the human race was put here, and why we were put here at the most physically dense layer of the universe, and what that's all about, and how it's all playing out right now. So that split in timelines links up to this point right now. So what would happen, for instance, if the human race didn't wake up and the corporations took over? Well, that's one of these timelines. What would happen if we got the corporations out of the way, but we stayed stuck in technology and we polluted the planet to the point where the biosphere broke down? So we had to create technology to keep alive. Well, that's another one of these timelines, etc. But what happens when the whole human race chooses to come back to the truth of who we are in a full fifth dimensional reality? There's only one human race. All of those timelines, they're corruptions of this one, all dissolve. They cease to exist. And that's why we were put here, because what's happened is all of these different corruptions have destabilized the universe. Like I said, they've created a sort of wobble or a destabilization at the foundation of the universe. And that's what this group, those of the interference, have been doing throughout the universe, is creating these corrupt timelines, distorting things. One of the things these Sumerian tablets have is information about how to put time travel technology together so that it can be decoded at this point in history. And that's what some of these military groups have done. So they've been going back through time, and that's been causing temporal time loops, real problems with, you might have heard of the, what's it called? The Mandela effect, where, people remember something one way, but it's actually a different way. And that's exploded out of, well, that's one of the impacts this has. If you go back in time, you change the trajectory you interact with that time. Let's say you go back in 700 years and you get to know someone in your family line, and you cause cause a whole new trajectory to open up, and that plays out over time. Well, it alters what I had. There's a big difference to what happens in the current timeline that you came back from, let's say 2026, compared to what would have happened had you not done that. Multiply that. It's messy and it's mentally like what, but that's why this time is so crazy. And that's exactly the purpose of the human race. That's why the Hawk put us together the way we were put together. The Hawk is the Nazarene. So that we could actually choose to come back to the truth of who we are, which is one being. There is only one frequency, as Ramana Maharshi said. The truth of who you are is untouched by any of it. Well, the it that we're untouched by, it's not just this pain of separation in your own personal life because your parents didn't recognize you and got in the way, and your programming got in the way, and you weren't allowed to unfold naturally, and you became mentally at odds with yourself, and that causes a distortion in your behavior that causes a reflection back from the world around you that proves that you're not right as you are seemingly. You get all twisted up in your own personal life. Then you hit the wall like we've all done. You ask for help. You get taken back through time, in a sense, back to that to free yourself of that belief, that false belief that you aren't worthy of love as you are. You are never that false personality, and that false personality simply ceases to exist because it's based on a false assumption. Once the truth is you directly experience that you are, that's what enlightenment is. That's what waking up is. That's what gurus go through. That's what happened with the Buddha. That's what happened with Ramana Maharshi. You wake up to the truth of who you are. Everything else just ceases to exist. Well, now imagine
that's
that
what's
on
happening. Yeah, but that's what's happening to all of us, everyone on this call and everyone awakened and trying to figure this whole thing out. It's so hard. If we're coming back to love, it's disillusionment. It's real death of false constructs, of mental constructs, of something that was never us. But it's so hard. It's so uncomfortable. Everyone I'm talking to is in like pain from head to toe, and people are relationships dissolving and people being cruel, and just it's very strange. You can go around and say love and light, la la la, but it's a really challenging thing to live.
Very, very challenging. And there's a couple of
It's
things.
isolating.
Well, there's a few things.
I want nothing to do with out there right now. I want nothing to do with out there.
And that's more than okay. That's more than okay. But there's a few things going on there. And one of the big problems with the frequency weapons is they were designed to amplify that emotion. Firstly, they wanted to get us into a situation where we couldn't regulate ourselves emotionally. So a lot of the biological warfare was about that. The kids in this generation, we've gone from 1 in 10,000 people being autistic to 1 in 35. What's that about? ADHD. Well, they can't regulate themselves emotionally. Now you add this crazy paradigm shift that just takes you somewhere you don't want to go because you don't understand it, and fear runs everyone in some degree, and you really need to understand it. You can't add to that, so you can't regulate that intense emotion. It's very hard to get a handle on it. Then they amplify it with frequency weapons. The whole idea was to overwhelm us to the point where we couldn't function. Unfortunately for them, that's not working, and we were designed from the ground up to be able to handle that. The way Tom put it to me, God put it to me, they've never been able to break your human spirit, and that's because we're too powerful. So there are a lot of ramifications and there are a lot of reasons for it. Like I was saying to Mike earlier, it's like we're on the biggest roller coaster ride in the universe, and the problem with that is once you're on, you can't get off. You got to surrender to it, and there's something about that feeling of being powerless within this process that takes you where you've never wanted to go, but where the whole problem is in the first place. And the only cure for it is direct experience of that reality. And the way Ramana Maharshi put it is the only way to know fear isn't real is to let it come and get you. There's a role for what, this biblical term and it's just a code, the fourth beast shall rise from the sea in the end times. The end of time meaning time not being, this whole temporal loop is breaking. So this whole linear thing with time, all the corruptions of timelines causing this crazy scatteredness, that all coming to an end is what the end times means, not the end of everything and you're going to die horribly if you don't give your life to religion. That's nothing to do with it. So that time loop is breaking. Fourth beast rising from the sea is just corporations connected with admiralty law, which was designed to separate us from common law, the law of the land, which is your heart connection to the planet, which is the same frequency as the planet. And this gets back to the star. The thing is that all has to be seen. It has to come out fully. It has to be seen fully. That's why they're throwing everything they can at us. That's why what you're seeing around the world is happening, because the whole human race has to see the it that has always been happening. It's got to be conscious, fully conscious, and that's the roller coaster ride. So
yeah.
the other thing, and the other thing is when you make a dimensional shift like we're making, it's like a massive detox, huge detox. I mean, one of the interesting phenomena you find with interacting with higher dimensional races and them coming to our planet, if you went to their planet, is you would get sick very quickly. They can only stay here. Some races can only stay here for a short amount of time without help because of that mismatch in frequency. And that's
maybe that's what's
changing.
wrong with all of us.
That's a major part of it. That's, this whole problem is a lot of it is really simply that. It's a good thing ultimately. It really underneath it all, it's a good thing. We're making the biggest dimensional shift that any race has ever made. Huge dimensional shift. In fact, one that's never been done this way before in the history of the universe.
Yep.
So
and
there's
I
a
heard,
lot in it.
I heard David Clements. Every time I listen to that guy, he says things that you've been saying to me for 3 years. And he said, all eyes, he didn't say it exactly like this, but basically all eyes are on Earth. All eyes are on us right now.
Yeah, that's
hard thing to get. Yeah, hard thing to get around, and like trying to talk about what nobody is talking about and give people, I don't know, something to ground, because
that's
everyone's
the key word.
just in it. Grounding
it, because it's very ungrounded. It's crazy town, and just finding a way to connect to it and ground, get your feet back on the ground is really important. And that's really, that's for me, the main aim is what I'm trying to get across to people. And that's what I was given really when I asked for help, was a way to ground it, like a methodology and a sense of how to come to peace with the process of how life moves, because that's what we've been put at odds with. Fundamentally, there's nothing really wrong with what's going on, except that there's been a lot of, they're trying to play on our ignorance about what's going on, and they've really tried to make us as ignorant as possible about what's going on. But fundamentally, what's going on is a good thing, and we can connect to it because we're of that by nature. Our fundamental nature and the nature of the universe are in harmony, and that's all that's happening. It's all coming back into harmony. It's just that we've been so conditioned for thousands of years to be at odds with ourselves mentally. Our sense of reality and sense of who we are. Like the way Tom put it, you insist you have a human nature. We define ourselves in so many ways that have nothing to do with the reality of who we are. That's really the only problem we've all got, is that is leaving. But it's all we've ever known. And the methodology of, or the mechanism of paradigm shifts is the old has to fall apart. So what we're seeing, what it feels like, is the death of everything we know. And in a sense, that in a very real sense, that's true. But it's the only way to reconnect with the truth of who we are. That's the very problem, the very answer we've been looking for has always been right in front of us, but we've had this false paradigm in the way.
Right.
So surrendering and being vulnerable in the face of the very thing that you've been trained not to do that with. Getting grounded in that process is a tough one, but it's also quite simple. in and of itself. It's quite simple. It's just not always easy to stay with it.
It's so simple, but we've never known it. So it's complex to the way we've lived our lives all along. It's you're relearning. We're all infants learning how to walk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've invested a lot of our life in being someone who's worthy of love and fits society's model of what a person is, and that's really the issue. It's a false paradigm. That's why it's never worked, but it's all we've ever known, and there's a
Right.
lot of emotion tied up in it. But the emotion tied up in it is actually just their thoughts masquerading as feelings, is the way Ramana put it. It's the end result of a mental construct. Anxiety is a thought form, really. For instance, fear
Right.
is a thought form.
Right.
It's an idea about something that we experience like an emotion. But love is the only real emotion. So getting back to that connection is really what's happening. We've got a lot of help. I mean, one thing Tom said to me is, "You are all as a star." So what's going on with the sun right now is crazy. It's phenomenal. The solar storm that just hit us over the last few days, and I think we're all feeling the impact of that. It's playing out. So a lot of the polarizing, this is the mind control thing, the polarities about conflict. A lot of the points of conflict in our lives have really flared up, I think, for a lot of people over the last week, particularly even yesterday, maybe even
Yeah.
today. And it's going to kind of oscillate a bit backwards and forwards, but there's breakthroughs there too. If you
Right.
can speak
Right.
from,
That's what everybody's saying. Yeah.
yeah, just come
That's
back to your heart and say what you want to say, and question who you are in the moment as well. Be prepared to hear the other person. I'll own that, but you need to own this. Because some of these points of conflict are very old. They go back to childhood. We might have been in marriages for a long time, which have had these building up resentments, which have nothing to do so much with the marriage. They're often about childhood, but we reflect them to each other. But there are a lot of things we've never said to our families, to our parents. Some of these points of conflict, it's just like you've got to kind of deal with them in real time in your own way. But just seeing them as part of the process of resolution is really helpful.
Yeah.
I mean,
What?
I've had that sort
What'd
of
you say?
going on in my own life all week.
Yeah. The war is a big thing right now. Gender confusion is a big thing right now. I just shared. Jason Christoff did a really good post. I thought he showed a man in women's clothing and walking a catwalk or something like that. And basically, the text said, "I wonder how many women who wanted to end the patriarchy actually cheer on the new woke movements that put men back to the top of the hierarchy if they dress like women. The patriarchy is back, dressed as the matriarchy. It only makes sense if you don't think about it." Like, and
Big,
so right, it was perfect. That's what I thought. But then I got all this
Messiah.
pushback
I'm
because
still
it
listening.
made people took it as my being homophobic. I said, no, no, no. I don't have any trouble with trans or drags or gays or lesbians or anything like that. But when you see beyond the individual people that you love within your life, you see that it's all about imbalance. It's all about power and control and making people think they're not right as they are and hey, look at me. And it's just, to me, it's so obvious now. And then somebody like just kind of went after me for it and said that's no better than right versus left. I'm like, I don't even know what you're saying right now. Like, that didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and look, that's another big problem we're at. People are at different levels of ability to hear this kind of stuff. Because
Right.
I mean, fundamentally, the woke movement is all about a psyop. It's about maintaining conflict. Polarity is conflict. So, men are the problem. No, men aren't the problem. The ego that controls is the
Mm-mm.
problem. That's
Right.
universal to men and women. Treating other people the way they treated you isn't the solution. Treating other people the
Oh,
way you
victim
want
perpetrator.
to be
Right.
treated, to treat other people the way you want them to treat you. Now
Yeah.
that takes a lot of
Emotional
wisdom
maturity.
and maturity.
Yeah.
Exactly. If it's wrong, it's wrong. If men,
Right.
if men vilifying women or making women out to be the problem, or um, you know, in whatever form you want to take it. Look, men are more physical. They can be scary and physically violent in a way women can't. So the expression of it is intense. And women, there's a reason why women have been subjugated the way they have, because all power comes from the feminine and is utilized by the masculine. But that's universal to men and women. And if you're out of balance, that's not going to work. The feminine principle, your heart connection, needs to be soft and open. That's where your full power, your connection to the universe comes from. And then your mind connects to that and moves in whatever direction that heart connection points at. But if you're separate from that, if your belief system is at odds with who you really are, it doesn't matter why, you're out of balance, and it doesn't matter what happens. So the anger that women have justifiably towards men, I mean, look at Sharia law, look at what the way women are treated in Iran. It's disgraceful, and it's done deliberately. It's a psyop. The group that did it, love and light, brother, sister. When we get to the point when we can all say this to each other, regardless of who we are, regardless of where we are, regardless of what the point of conflict is, love and light, brother, sister, you are not the enemy. This third party deliberately created this element because they knew what would happen, and that they would destabilize our entire civilization, and they would be able to control our direction. They would be able to control our choices and the trajectory that we moved through, so that they could socially engineer us all the way through history to this exact point in history, so that we would make the decision they wanted us to make, which is the inversion, to finally choose fully to sever our heart connection to the universe, the feminine principle. So once this third part, and this is it's all playing out all at once. The deep state are throwing everything they can at us. This whole woke thing, they're trying to inflame the emotional reactionaryism of
Yeah.
women against men. They're trying to inflame the emotional reactionaryism of different races against each other, etc., etc. They're trying to get that so inflamed that we can't think straight. The pain of
Yeah.
separation, the intensity of pain of alienation that someone who's gay goes through at school. Their whole
Yeah.
persona gets formed around that pain. Not if it doesn't matter if you're gay or straight, it doesn't matter if you're gay or straight. Full stop. So if it really matters, this is why Ramana Maharshi said the key to coming back to the truth of who you are is find the one who cares. If you're straight, if you're gay, and you're caught up in this woke movement, and it really matters to you that everyone respects you for who you are, then you're just going somewhere. You're being taken to the same place that
Right.
you're reacting against.
Yeah.
If it was never important, and being able to surrender to that truth and let everybody be where they're at, let
Right.
everyone else be
Right.
where
What
they're
you
at. It
think
has
of
nothing to do
me
with you.
is none of my business. What you think of
Now
me
that's
is none of my business.
exactly. Now that
Right.
it's not something you can do with an act of will. It's tough. You're going to go through a lot of
Mhm.
emotional layers, but fundamentally, the truth of that, it's the truth of that. Women treating men in the way men treated women is not the solution. And
Right.
you're just playing into their hands if you do that. But trying to get a very angry person who's been through a lot of pain to see that before they're ready,
Yeah.
they're just going to react, and you're going to become the lightning rod for them. So there's a
Right.
process needed to get everyone
Yeah.
around the planet to the same point in time. That's
Yeah.
what's playing out, and that's the importance of the COVID narrative collapsing. Everyone around the planet needs to see that there is a group who has the power and the structure to pull off a lie on that scale, and that we bought it. That
Yeah.
it wouldn't have happened unless we went along with it without thinking. Once that opens the door to everything else being all of these conspiracy theories that have been talked about, like the woke movement. The whole woke movement is a social engineering strategy designed to screw with us. Digital
Yeah.
ID,
Yeah.
UN, WE, you point at whatever conspiracy you want to point at now, it opens the door to no one around the planet will be able to shut the door and say that's just a conspiracy theory. They won't be able to do it because the what can I say it's like the precedent for the possibility that it's not has been proven beyond doubt. There it is. They pulled off a lie on that scale. Everyone knows
Yeah.
about COVID. Everyone has an opinion about it. Everyone went in whatever direction. Look at the way all of us have been treated for pointing it
From
out.
our
No one,
families and from our
everyone,
friends and like everybody. My family thinks I'm, homophobe because I think Michelle Obama is a man. I mean, we talked about this already, and it's like, the two aren't related, number one, and number two, they chose their belief systems over my love. So, and I think I'm not alone in that. The more I share that, the more people have the same experiences with their families. Like all of a sudden, they see things in the geopolitical landscape or, the gender issue or I don't know, climate, shape of our earth, like all of it. Like we see things with such a clarity, even if we don't believe one way or another, we're simply opening our eyes for it to not be what we've been taught it was. So, but we trigger them because they still believe it all hook, line, and sinker.
yeah. And,
And it's really
Pamela
hard
Mal, you need
to,
to hear that too. Who are you reacting? Who are you being right now when you say that, Pamela Mal? Are you being yourself? Are you open to the truth, or are you reacting and playing their game? That's a question only you can ask yourself.
it's just a
And I
troll.
100% suggest that before the end of the year, you take that seriously, because by the end of the year, you'll be on your knees having to anyway. This transition is going to strip everybody of every illusion they've got, and it's real, 100% real, and it's happening for everybody. It doesn't matter who you are or where you are. Those of the interference, this is coming directly from God. We would not like to be in their shoes. Of everyone else, it's better for you if you choose it. Do you really know what you think you know, or are you being sold a lie? Question yourself and your own thinking. And I suggest everyone
Yeah.
does that. It's all a lie,
Yeah.
but it is a
Yeah.
truth.
It's so funny. Half the thoughts I have all day long are probably a lie. And it's a hard thing to think a thought and then stop in that thought and ask, is it true? Like, where is this coming from? If I believe this, am I being led around by my nose? Right? It's like those yaks being, with a leash being led wherever they go. That's the way I see so much of humanity right now. If you're taking sides, you've bought into it.
There is a they, and they do have an agenda. Yeah. There is a they, and they have an agenda. Who are they, and what's the agenda? And what's really been going on? And that's tough because, we run by fear and we need to know. And when you don't know, it brings all that
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
But we've just crossed a
Um,
massive threshold. So,
yeah. Somebody said Kundalini awakening, dark night of the soul is brutal. And then somebody else said they're having an extremely difficult time grounding and being in my body. Like my cells are dying and rebooting. And you know what? I've thought that before too, Sunshine. Like, like if we're becoming more crystalline, then the physicality is like, if we're lightning, that can't be comfortable. Like somebody, oh, I can't even think of what it was. Oh, the analogy was exercise and our muscles. You tear your muscles to build them up again. You stretch them and and who are we to not think that's going to happen spiritually? So basically, we're all being ripped to shreds and rebuilt.
Yeah,
And
pretty much. Yes,
some of us are feeling it really consciously.
a lot. Yes, I
And
mean,
it's yeah, go on.
I was going to say, but, that's we. So much of it is subconscious because it's old. We grow up with this distortion in the subconscious layer, like I say. So when you're willing to look in the face of all of this and say something's happening, but I don't know what it is, it brings up all of the motivation to try to be somebody that we were taught we had to be. But we were afraid, we weren't self-doubt. We doubted our ability to pull it off. We felt insecure about ourselves as children. And then everything was built on that. So as soon as you look in the face of the scale of what's playing out around the planet and the ramifications of what could happen in any direction that your mind could take you, it brings all of that out. But the fact is, we don't know either. So there's that insecurity that runs us it brings it right out in front of us, and you can't escape it wherever you look. And at this time in history, we've never been there before. So it's universal to so many people now, and that in itself makes it even more intense.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
at the same time,
One
it
I've been
does something to your subconscious.
Yeah, you say sometimes that when I think I'm going backwards or I'm getting worse. No. It's just like the analogy I gave you yesterday or the day before about this. There's a meme going around making the rounds about when snakes are about to die, their hiss is the loudest. So basically, darkest before the dawn, that type of thing. Like the ego and everything false gets loudest before it dies, before it falls away.
Mm. Yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, and Ramana, again, the way Ramana Maharshi put it was disillusionment is the final state, and what he meant is state of mind. That we get pulled into this anxiety and self doubt, which is a state of mind, and our whole sense of self and persona and belief system around the world, they're all states of mind. So we experience moments. We don't experience what's really there. We experience it as from our mind, a state of mind. So when you want to get free of this problem and you surrender your free will and you let life take you, you get undone, put back together. So your subconscious gets rearranged. That's why it's hard to see the relevance of what you're experiencing right now because it's dealing with a subconscious problem that your conscious mind can't see yet. But the only way for your conscious mind to get clear about what's really happening is to rearrange that subconscious layer. So these states of mind start to get reformed. And he said the final state of mind is disillusionment. A lot of us are there. Everywhere you look, you
Yeah,
can't see anything
you can't
dark.
see anything else but the darkness or the inversion or the deception. I mean, Anne just said it's like renovating a house. It's a destruction zone to take down the old before building the new. And that's basically what it is. Everybody says like the work being done on my house in the physical, it's no mistake that it's the rebuild of me on the internal. And I don't know. It's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, very uncomfortable. But it's on a positive note. It's the sign that we're on the edge of the whole thing collapsing and coming
Yeah,
back
and
together.
I know. And when our human mind goes to the scope of it, the supposed number of people on the planet, they say 8 billion. I don't buy that for a second. Big fat lie. But anyway, it's a lot of people. And we can't wrap our heads around, like, I didn't ask to wake up, and it's been years of darkness. So when we're in our own heads and thoughts, we can't, it's unimaginable that this is coming for the entire human race. And I don't say it from an arrogance or an all-knowing or even disbelief. I have the faith. There's just there's no blueprint for it. There's nothing. I could imagine, and the arrogance with the ones, who think they know is staggering. So I can't imagine them catching up. But
Like
that's
what would have
where,
to happen that to happen?
what would have to happen for them to catch up, for their disillusionment, for their dissolution. Like this is a complete tear down and rebuild. This
Well,
is,
and getting to the astrology, if I could just inject that one right here, one of the big, big, big ones is the conjunction between Neptune and Saturn. Massive. And the astrology that's playing out right now has never happened within the last 14,000
no,
years and has a very good reason for that. And it's combined with the massive impact of what's happening on the sun. And the reason Tom said you're all as a star, we're connected to the sun. We operate the same way. So our frequency is rising up massively. So there's this whole perfect storm of events. What Saturn and Neptune coming together like that represents, they're opposites, and they're not very comfortable together in a lot of ways. But that's mainly because this paradigm doesn't work very well. In reality, Neptune's about illusion, and
right?
Saturn is about structure. Saturn likes to be direct and do and act in a direct way and create from that, whereas Neptune likes to flow like water and move with. And the reason it's so important, the conjunction, because the universe is based on the fundamental nature of duality, which is an illusion. The universe itself is an illusion, the illusion of separation. There is only one being, the all that is. And it's the illusion of separation, self-aware life, that creates the ability for the all that is to experience itself. But that's fundamentally an illusion. There is no two, there's only one. So getting the clarity about what the nature of reality is the only way to make the structure, Saturn, work. You have to be very, very clear that everything is one conscious energy appearing as separate form. There's nothing to do, or no one to be and nothing to do. That completely transforms the nature of Saturn, the way Saturn operates. That's exactly the paradigm shift. The way our civilization needs to operate has to be centered around the heart being soft and open. If a woman can't walk down the street feeling completely soft and open and vulnerable, civilization doesn't work properly. Civilization isn't doing its job. The structure of the world, the way kids are educated, the belief system that comes from social conditioning, the way people operate, who they become, that's what this civilization operates from, a distortion that creates that inability. Think of men can't be vulnerable. Men don't trust the world any more than women do. Men don't
No,
trust that it's safe to be vulnerable, to be who they are. They've got to be this someone just like women. That civilization is out of balance. It's an illusion that the way we live works. So getting disillusioned, this whole illusion that being someone in the world the way we think it is going to work, has to be collapsed. But the illusion of separation being put back as being the core, that once you understand that there's no one to be or do, it's simply about the all that is experiencing itself, then all the agendas disappear. Then you can actually create physical reality from that. And that's what the Nazarene's life represents. That's what all self-aware beings' life represents. They move with water. They move with each moment. They can see everything fully as it is. They know what to say and when to say it and when to move and when not to move, exactly, without any conflict in each moment, because they're moving with life purely as life, connected to it directly. So that's what's coming for the human race. The whole civilization is going to be rebuilt from the correct motivation. So getting Saturn and Neptune together, the feminine and masculine, the mind and the heart, back in the right order, that's reversing the inversion, and that's what's happening for everybody. That's why open contact has been accelerated.
yeah,
And that's one of the big catalysts is by the end of the year, that question, is there ET life, will be taken off the table.
right. And
Gone.
when that's taken off the table, that, that and the COVID narrative it just kind of unravels everything else.
Exactly. Now, again,
I just wish they'd come right now.
well, they're here and they're very excited to be
I
here. They've been waiting a
know.
long time. They've been waiting for us
Yeah.
to get ready. Actually, we're the ones who've been holding them back. But that's over now. That's gone this year, and this massive near Carrington level solar flare that just hit the planet is some kind of marker. So yeah, that's unfolding, and again, so you take the question: every human being on the planet. Remember this: every human being on the planet now knows that ET life is real. Now there are ramifications because we are related to them genetically, so that's all going to unfold. But firstly, you're going to say, what's life like on their planet? How did they get here? What's their technology like? And that completely destroys the centralized control system on this planet. Completely destroys it. Direct energy. Their whole system is based on indirect energy. Think about it. If you want to connect with God, you got to go through them. It's indirect. You got to go through religion. If you want to connect your laptop to a PowerPoint, you've got to go through a power company first. If you want to live in a home, you've got to go through the banking system. So it's all
Right.
indirect. If you want to live life, you've got to go through this belief system and get everything right first. So you're not living in the moment, you're living in indirect. That's why it's sat saying is true north, having a direct experience of the truth of who you are in the living moment. That's what direct energy does. It completely destroys the entire centralized banking system.
Right.
And then COVID destroys the belief system. And what does civilization look like when you haven't got these assholes in the way? We can ask them directly. And that's this year.
That's this year. We just got to hang on. Everyone who comes to me and asks for, a nugget of advice or tells me how dark they feel or whatever, I just say, hold on, just hang in there. Just
Take a
just
deep
a
breath
little
and stay
while
with it.
longer. But everyone's like, I've been hearing that for years, and then it's just all the naysaying and
Yeah, and just see that there's a role in you being ready to receive the moment, all of that too. Everything that's happening. It's hard to accept sometimes. I know, but just be willing to entertain the idea that the way you're experiencing this is for a reason.
and
That the
trust
emotional
and
process.
trust.
Yeah, well, that's it. The emotional
Zach
process is going through for a reason.
Zach said, I had a voice come out of myself saying, you have had many lifetimes in different star systems. You had a lifetime as a draconian. We are the ETs. I want an experience like that. Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, interesting.
Oh, and Anne says, I've had a similar message. That's awesome. I love
Yeah,
that
well, that's
stuff.
it. We are. I mean, we're directly connected to them. And I was told that the generation born from the Indigos onwards, late '90s onwards, they've never been born on this planet before. Their souls that were
Yes,
born into these bodies had never been on this planet before.
right. But that was also like not a double-edged sword, but it's kind of why that generation was just hammered with everything,
Yeah.
digitization and vaccinations and all the belief systems and like the wars and the politics. Like they were hammered because they are already that close to purity and God and light.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's the danger that represents because they don't have a direct connection to the karmic loop that a lot of people
Right.
have. That was one of the deep state strategies was to get us to kill each other. That creates a karmic debt. We have to keep on coming back, which wasn't, it's not where it's meant to be. Tom God called it the bottlenecking of souls. So we keep going around in circles. Same souls had to keep coming back and fixing the problem. And then we get pulled into it again. It keeps us stuck. So that was one of the reasons this generation were born in without having lived here before because they didn't have a direct connection to that strategy. So yeah, that was a counter move from the deep state against that. The ET side of the deep state have a they understand that element of this strategy. So that was a bit of a counter move to that, yeah. But I was also told that they would all wake up at once And that's a big part of what happens when when open contact happens, because the ramifications of technology is not just direct energy, but healing technology.
Mm-hmm.
So that is true. You know, you can use light to heal DNA. You can use light to DNA can be carried in light. DNA can be healed in light. That's because DNA fundamentally is light, just like the
Is light,
universe is
right?
light.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you can use technology to reverse engineer all disease, remove it completely. So once that all the neurological disorders are removed from their field, you know,
Wow.
autism, ADHD, there isn't a problem this generation has been hit with that can't be removed by this healing tech, and it's here, it's coming, it's like right here. So they will all
How
wake
do
up at
you
once. They'll all come back to themselves.
how do you envision the vices that humanity has had pushed on them? Like sometimes when I think about this new world of just so much love and purity and honesty, like just total transparency, there's the human Katie that's like, well, wait a minute, like no drinking, I can't have a cigarette, like you know what I mean? Like I'm just like thinking of all those things that have been used. Isn't that ridiculous? The fucking weird shit I think about. But you know what I mean? Like somebody in a
What are
video
we going to do?
described eternity as monotonous. And I'm like, monotonous? I don't want to think of eternity as monotonous. I mean, I love our human physical weird things. I just don't like how toxic and dangerous and horrible for your health they are. Like, how do you envision? I don't know. How do you envision a new world?
Well, I mean, I was shown the paradigm shift on the other side of this is a massive explosion of color and light, and that's exactly what what they call the Big Bang, the universe, a creation of color and light, an explosion of color and light. So the creative energy in each living moment is infinite. So the idea that it's monotonous, I was shown this when I was 2. It's not monotonous. In fact, it's the exact opposite.
No. Right.
It's
That's
it's,
how
it's,
I
it's
feel about it. Yeah.
yeah, well, that's a mental construct based on a current point of view you can't see past.
You can't see
So trying
past,
to
right?
fit
So of course
yeah,
you're going to think about like, oh God, I have to do this forever. Like that's what you're
forever.
going to, right?
Yes.
That's what your reference point is. But I'm like,
Yeah.
so thinking about, so I haven't had a drink. Oh my God, it's almost 3 years exactly that I haven't had a drink. But
Well done.
right, thank you. But so how do you see alcohol and those things? Like people don't people love the way those things make them feel. Some can do it in moderation, some do it, horribly. I didn't do it so great. But you know what I'm saying? How do you see those vices going forward?
Well, it's really about motivation and balance. So it's more about who's the one doing it and why. You know, why are you doing? If so, the correcting or compensating for an imbalance within you by filling the space where you would need to meet it with something that pulls you out of it, like alcohol or drugs or sex or you name your addiction, work. It them in and of themselves, they have a role. Just like Tom said, darkness serves a purpose. There's a place for them if there's a place for them. It's more about who's the one. Where are you coming
Needing
from?
them. Right, needing
Yeah.
them. Like when I saw, well, when I first when I saw the agenda behind alcohol, when I saw it, just it infiltrates every facet of life. It's in every episode of every television program and movie, without fail. Without fail. I celebrate the ones where someone's not a drinker or, making fun of the taste of the horrible stuff. I celebrate those, but it's very rare. So when I saw the dark agenda behind alcohol, I wanted no part of it. I didn't want to give it my energy. I did not want to give it my money. I did not want to. And I mean, for the first 6 years of my son's life, I didn't have a drop of alcohol because I did not want that to be the mom he saw. I made up for it, when he was a teenager. But you know what I'm saying? Like, when I saw it as the escape that it was and the suppression of who I was into, I mean, it did kind of exaggerate and amplify the loving being I am. Luckily for me, I was never a mean drunk or anything like that. But when I saw how, I don't know what I'm trying to say. When I saw the nature of alcohol, the intention, I think all of a sudden I no longer needed it. And that was an overnight thing.
Sure.
But
think of it this way.
There's an element of me that says it would be really nice someday to want to have a drink with someone. But I'm like, who is saying that? Who is even thinking that? It's like the pressure of doing what's accepted and normal.
Yeah, and you're moving through a process, but think of it this way: there are two parts of it, because for the strategy of alcohol to work, there would need to be a hook in the person, and that's what the role of very early childhood, pulling you out of yourself. As soon as you hit that point where you're very young, where you feel like you're not right as you are, and that your way of meeting life, you don't see it as your way of meeting life. There's simply this moment, and you don't even have the words for it. You're a child moving through life in the natural state. There's no question about it. Then you're introduced to a moment via your parents or somewhere, and it can be 2, 3 years old, 4 years old. It's a combination of elements. As soon as you doubt yourself, that's where the hook is. And it can be intense or more varying degrees of intensity depending on the social situations you're subjected to after that. But that's why it works. If you're allowed to go through the first 9 years of life without any problem, it wouldn't work. So it's the same programming, but there's no hook. You would see right through it. It wouldn't touch you.
Sure.
So that first part's got to be there first. So that's why the mind control works, why all the other strategies are to amplify it and hook you into this loop of self-destructive behavior. But first you've got to doubt yourself.
That was a light bulb moment for me to realize you never liked the flavor of this. You never enjoyed this. You would drink so quickly to then not taste this awful shit. Like, I just can't stand the taste of any of it. Like, I'm thinking about it, remembering no, there's some awful shit. And I don't say that with judgment. I'm saying this for myself. It was a light bulb moment of, why are you doing this? And how does it even serve you? It's so funny now, too, because I've been watching this show. Laughter is so good. I feel when I'm in the middle of laughter, I can feel the pressure on my solar plexus just disappear. And as soon as I'm done laughing, it's right back to being pressure and uncomfortable. Isn't that strange? But laughter is so wonderful. So I've been watching this show I never watched in my entire life called Two Broke Girls. And the hell was I going to say about that? Oh my God, I lost it. What was I talking about? I was talking about alcohol and laughter. Oh gosh, I don't remember what I was going to say about it. It was like an epiphany moment about I see the programming in it, but sometimes it's so funny and the one character is so brutally honest that there's something refreshing about it. I don't know what I was going to say. It was a big thing. No, I don't think it will come to me, actually.
I think everyone can relate to that. I know I can. Just walking into a room.
The disappearing.
And thinking,
Yeah, but
Why
we
not
all
here?
made fun of that as being like a middle-aged thing, but I really think it's amped up a lot.
Yeah,
It's
it absolutely has. Yeah.
Yeah, like things just come in and leave. Like when you and I are talking and I have a oh moment, I'll make you stop and repeat it so I can write it down because otherwise it's gone. I've had incredible moments on the phone with you that I'm like, oh, I just need that back. I need that back.
Oh, there was one yesterday you wrote down. What was that? Oh, 2 days ago. What was that?
I don't know. I
We
should
often
probably
think
look.
we should record our
Right.
conversations. 'Cause-
I
yeah.
know,
Well,
right?
look, this next 12 months we're in now. We look, we're still in the vibe, if you could say, of last year in the Chinese horoscope sense. So a lot's going to shift between now and the beginning of March, and in fact, moving on. And the Arcturians said to me, didn't they, in January, you'll not end the year in the same situation with which you began it. And then, of course, I come out of a coma on December 31st. And I
That's
literally
right.
watch New Year's Eve play out while God is in the room with me and two Arcturians are standing behind me, taking me through this whole thing with the Sphinx and the compression wave, and that it was the whole thing was just done, and that relates to the timeline, all the different timelines and the distortion that's been created on this planet and all the different ramifications of it. It's all been done. Now everything has to conform. So it's all coming back to one timeline, us, the human race,
Yes.
the way God put it. Then life on this planet, then life may return to that which we always intended, the way it was always meant to be. Just love experiencing itself in each living moment. The creative energy that's coming out, the ET races that are really keen to connect with us because our creative, our creative energy and creative output is very admired throughout the universe.
Right.
There's actually a lot of our ability to solve problems and come up with creative solutions and work with artistic life is art.
Mhm.
Our ability to do that is very, very powerful.
and
So
it's and it's unique. It's we are admired and revered. Right, right. That's just amazing.
yeah, it's very admired and respected, our creative energy and our ability to create things and what comes from that, how we solve problems. So us meeting them, they want to connect with us on that level and interact. Trade their culture with our culture and interact. And they're really keen to do that, and they want to do that like fast, like this year. So again, there's a lot of military stuff that's been happening behind the scenes. There's this whole thing with Venezuela and particularly Iran and what's been going on in Israel and what was going on in Ukraine. Russia's speaking directly about help us destroy Satanism. Like I said, there's a group that infiltrated the Hebrew. They aren't Hebrew. Those of the interference aren't Hebrew, but they used the social engineering process of World War II and the whole 20th century to infiltrate, and they've done this since Atlantis, to use the power of the Hebrew, or a microcosm of the human race, to socially engineer the human race. So they infiltrated the Hebrew and created the state of Israel. And that distortion you see playing out right now isn't the Jewish people killing the Palestinians,
Right,
it's
right.
those of the interference trying to wipe out a connection, a very important connection of humanity that the Palestinians represent. They're fighting for
Yeah.
survival. What you're seeing playing out with a lot of the conflict is the destruction of China. Very important. Communism is collapsing in China big time. There's a big social
Yes.
revolution going on there under the surface that no one's seeing in the media.
Yeah, we're
Six
not seeing it
provinces,
in the media. But what's that?
6 provinces within China are actually breaking away from the Communist Party. That's big.
That's huge. There
So
are a few who are speaking about it, basically saying China is screwed. Yeah,
screwed
there are a few
because
who I don't know where they're getting their news from, but I'm listening to you, David Clements, Pam Gregory, Mark Atwood, Janine. I
well,
have like five. Well,
Well, well, that's where Iran, particularly Iran, and also Venezuela, come in is oil production. Their dependency on they've been doing deals on low cost oil with Iran and Venezuela for a very long time, but that's what their whole economy is based on. And when that gets cut off, they're screwed. They've got they've got this big military and this big industrial complex, but if they can't connect it with energy, their whole economy is collapsing. And the social credit system is destroying lives there, and
yeah,
people hate it. And the energy of this astrological process that's playing out for the human race, it's playing out through people. People are getting fed up. They've never been able to break your human spirit, is the way God put it. Well, this pressure they're putting on us, they've been putting on us for so long now. People suddenly go,
yeah,
okay, enough. You're seeing it happen
yeah,
in Iran. You're seeing it happen in Britain, Europe, everywhere. The more they try to
yeah,
throw their plan at us, digital ID, whatever it is. I mean, it's happening in Australia too.
yeah,
They
yeah.
just had a massive bushfire, a huge heat wave that went all the way up the east coast. China's been trying to put in a wind farm all the way up through the centre of New South Wales, which means taking land off people. So they've used dew weapons to start these fires. They've created a heat wave, and you can actually see the impact of it. The government then turned around and using emergency laws to say anyone who goes back onto these structures, they've defined those homes as unfit, will be arrested and taken away, so that the government's going to do a land grab so that they can put, because people didn't want the wind farms. So they've used this strategy to do it anyway. Classic China. So now a whole convoy of people have gone straight in there. You should see it. It's like the utes carrying trailers full of hay to feed the livestock. It's going for kilometres. So they just screw the government. They're doing it anyway. Come and get us then if you want. But thousands of people are breaking that curfew, and they're coming back into that area to block the government from doing it. It's happening in this state. It's happening all over the world. And it's just
This
going to
is the shit we
amplify.
need to talk about. This is the shit we need to be talking about. The good stuff, the stuff that we're not going to see because the media is still the media. And sent numerous Instagrams about Alberta, Canada, like lines for miles of people wanting to leave Canada,
Exactly.
like their province, like getting out of here. Yeah,
Yes, that's it.
yeah,
To
and we
keep back
will.
in Britain.
Yeah,
Like there are, 86 Sharia law courts in Wales, in the UK, that the Muslim, the extreme right wing end of Islam, which isn't anything to do with them actually, Sharia law, which is basically just totalitarianism, the mass immigration, that they come into this country, these different countries, and think that they can bring their ethos into it and just force the other country to turn around and become Islam. Basically, they're just trying to take over the UK. And that was all done by the government, and the people of the UK turning back against it. That's happened all around the world,
yeah,
that immigration wave. That's what it's all about, destabilizing all the societies around the world so that they can take them over. It's all part of the same agenda, and that's all been seen through. People are seeing through on the ground level, and the Arcturians told me that years ago, and so did Tom. They described it as a pincer move. They said this transition will come from the street up. So it's ordinary people like us that are actually,
right.
this is where it happens. And someone asked Tom, is there any truth to the second coming of Christ? And he said, yes, this time it's not the one, it's the many. And that's just ordinary people on the street.
Yeah,
We're all the same
it's
as
those
the Nazarene.
farmers. Yep, it's those farmers
Yep.
in I believe it was France and Germany blocking the roads with their tractors and then dumping manure on politicians' homes, right? I mean, so what else? Do you have any other
Well,
world
the
news
government's
that's
also,
very
they're coming back with media spin on all of that too. They're trying to
yeah,
put
they
out
are.
fire like they've always done. They've always been able to steer our reaction and then rewrite history to take it out so we don't have the reference point, but they can't. It's not working. Too many people know, they can see right through them, and it's growing like wildfire. And the more they
Nobody
try
I
to use
know
these
can see
strategies
through
to
it.
put it out, the more they try to use these strategies to put it out, like censorship in Australia. The government's just tried to pass a law here, hate speech. Well, who gets to decide what that is? They do. So, of
Exactly.
course, it's
So
all
weird.
totalitarian. Exactly. Now, there are a lot of politicians and people, ordinary people in the streets, who they tried to pass this law. The government actually gave all government employed lawyers $1,000 a week pay rise to try to bribe them into rushing it
Yes.
through.
I saw
You know,
that.
so, yeah. So there's been a
Where
massive
was
pushback,
that?
and the High Court was forced to say it's unconstitutional, and they had to drop it because it
Was
is.
that
It's
UK?
illegal.
Was that Australia? Where
It's
was
near
that?
Australia. Australia. China's in the
I
process of
saw
trying to take
that.
Australia over.
Isn't China in the process of trying to take everything over? Like,
Yeah,
China's like
the
the new
last thing.
British?
Yeah, well, they've been put at the head of the table. It was Britain, it was Rome, it was the Medici's, it was Italy, it was Spain. All different groups of the deep state with different parts of history. They got the final job. So Britain gave them Hong Kong. Then they were given the major shareholder of BlackRock, one of the two corporations that own all corporations, the fourth beast rising from the sea. So they're at the head of that wheel. They're driving the car. They think they're going to get the spoils. That's why the last thing God told me was Australia is the future. So the back of China's ability to pull off their plan is being broken by a lot of people. So the importance of what the US is doing and what Australia is doing, what's happening in Australia, what the Aboriginal people represent, and the fact that the voice referendum, which was designed to get our constitution and the Australian Aboriginal culture's connection to the land, is the last block in the corporate version of the Constitution, taking away the common law version. They tried to get a voice referendum to trick us into thinking it's the right thing to do to include the Aboriginal Australians in the Constitution. On paper, yeah. But again, too many
Right.
people knew what they were trying to do, and it didn't work. It stopped working.
Yeah.
China was left with one foot in the air. They couldn't quite. Now they've been trying to force their plan to take Australia over, which represents Atlantis. It's an island continent. The end
Yeah.
game of what happened in Atlantis, the Atlantean destruction event caused by those of the interference, all coming to a head 12,000 years later. It was all set up ahead of time. That's why the astrology is the first time it's ever happened in 14,000 years, because it happened 2,000 years before the destruction event was when they infiltrated Atlantis.
Okay, so it took 12,000 years, but like Janelle says, as thin as the veil is now, something has to break free in the matrix. I cannot imagine living like this for years. So like
This
it
year,
took 12,000 years. Okay, that's what I wanted, because that's pretty much what I'm hearing from everybody is this year.
yeah,
Clements,
this year. Those are all.
Pam, Wendy, this year.
Remember,
We
the
can't
whole
know
thing
what
was
that
set up.
looks like.
Well, and you don't need to know the specific form, but you're watching it happen in real time. So keep an eye on that. There's a reason why the astrology right now and the solar stuff they've seen they've never seen it before. What's happening with the sun? They've never seen it before. They go back through all the geological records. What's happening with 3i Atlas? They've never seen before. What's happening with the astrology? First time in 14,000 years. Now, go back to the start of when the human race was put together by the hawk, who was the Nazarene. The Nazarene was his second incarnation, his third actually. The Buddha was his second. He oversaw the genetic grand experiment that thousands of worlds around this galaxy put together all their DNA and put together the biosphere of this planet and the racial diversity of the human race to help defeat this group. Then he came in and set up the first civilization, which was where Atlantis came through. So he put all that together. The Sphinx was built right at that time and connected to a very specific geodesic point on the planet, very deliberately done. The whole thing was set up from the beginning to meet this point in history with the exact strategy that would destroy everything they could throw at it. It was all done ahead of time. Then the Buddha came and gave a reference point for spirituality free of religion. What we're going through is what the Buddha did. We go through the physical. We wake up from 3D and go back up to 5D. That's what the Buddha represents. What Tom called coming back across the valley of the mind. Then he came back as the Nazarene. And it was basically the writings on the wall, deep state, human deep state. This is your last chance to turn back. If you go one step further, you're done. You can't win. And they wouldn't accept that. So they took another, which was building the first corporation, the Vatican City. So they chose to go with the plan in the arrogance of ignorance. They thought they were winning. They didn't really understand. That's the problem with those with interference. They don't really understand what they're taking on. They're full of, they think they really know, and they think they're all powerful, but they really didn't really understand what they were getting into when they infiltrated Atlantis. They didn't understand the full ramifications of what they were getting involved in. And that was what the Nazarene triggered the trap. And then it's been playing out, that homeopathic dose of the truth of who we are. Like I said, he took into the collective consciousness. That's what all this energy wave is about. It's pulling it up to the surface. That's why you're seeing people in Iran turn around. That's why you're seeing everybody waking up. Everybody's connecting with that frequency that the sun's pulling up in a major way. It's all playing out in real time right in front of you, and the physical reality has to conform. Anything that's not of that is being destroyed by it. And that's why the open contact can happen. So this year is massive. It'll play out over time. It's like a rock dropping in a pond. But if you know what you're looking at, and like I said, connection with ET destroys everything. It destroys the whole narrative starts to collapse. Yeah, the structure, everything.
I can't
What's
wait.
that?
I
No,
can't
I
wait.
hear that.
Hurry up. I can't wait.
I think a lot of people saying that.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Well, the Arcturians told me everything that's been taken from you will be given back, and everything that's been used against you will be turned back to the user. And the user was written like a name, like a capital U, user. That's those of the interferers. Everything they've used, but they'll be exposed by it to everybody. COVID,
Yep.
the UN,
Yep.
God specifically spelled them out. Your United Nations is not so united. So the Davos group, Soros, Klaus Schwab, blah blah, all of them, and the group that you can't see behind the scenes, the faces you don't even know about.
Yep.
The time travel groups, all of the distortions in timelines that have been caused by this interference, all being collapsed. All those timelines being collapsed. The Arcturians told me a couple of days ago when they showed it to me. They said they will all be unbound, unmanifest, uncreated, and completely removed from your field.
Yes. I think David Clements spoke to that, not quite like that, but that's what blows my mind. Not that I doubt. I have such faith and such belief and trust. But when you hear people who have never talked to one another say the same things, it's that physical confirmation that just feels so good. While, we do walk around being the crazy ones in the family and the friend group in the room, like we're the crazy ones. But so when you hear people from opposite ends of the planet say the same shit, like almost verbatim, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah, well, the whole structure of everything will collapse around those people, and you know why that's going to happen. This unbound, unmanifest, uncreated, because we created it. It's our creative energy that created it.
Yeah.
We're the ones. Yeah. They need us to create all of this, and it was our misunderstanding. Like you created this false persona you called Katie, I called Gareth, Mike, all of us. We created that false persona. We were tricked into doing it. We thought we weren't right as we are. So all that creative energy went into being somebody and doing something to get love. So all of those structures, as soon as you go back to that moment where you disappear, where you can you see that?
133. Yeah.
Nazarene. As soon as you go back and because it's an assumption, I'm not worthy as love as I am, and everything's built on an assumption. As soon as you go back and you directly experience the assumption is an assumption, it's not true. You drop down to what is true. Everything that was built from it collapses. It disappears. You don't. It's
Yeah.
not even relevant. So it's like that on a human race scale. So all
Yeah,
of
I
these,
know. I know. It's funny though, because I really like Katie. Like, am I going to stick around? I really like Katie. I don't
yeah,
want her to go
absolutely,
away.
yeah,
I just want to destroy all the false.
sure, exactly. Well, you just won't want to kill yourself every other day,
Yeah, I know. That'd be
and you'll
lovely.
love life. Love life. Everywhere you look, you'll see the love of
I,
life.
I told you I can't imagine that. I love these calls and I can look all la la la, but I wake up and I don't want to be here. I can't explain it, but I'm pretty sure everyone here in the on the calls knows. Oh, and Karen says 3:33 in New Zealand.
Gotcha, Karen. Yes, yeah, the Nazarene. It's the number of the Nazarene. I was told the hawk,
Well, and
and
33 was when he died, right?
oh,
When he was
yes,
crucified. Yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
told Alex
it's
Zek that he turned 33 this year, and I'm like, oh, you're as old as Jesus.
Did he laugh?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, and I was gonna say some of the concepts that you talk about, Hebrew, or racism, or the gender war, whatever conflict, or the wars. Um, for everybody in the chats, there's a young man on Instagram, Ali Zatiri. It's ALIZAETIRI. I don't know. I get his Sunday evening report, and he does sometimes 10 or 20 slide Instagram posts. And this young man is so on point, and he brings this information in such a beautifully digestible, understandable way that if I were you, I would run to sign up for his emails. I'm writing his name in the chat, and follow him on, I think I get the spelling right, so you'll find him. But follow him on Instagram. He nails it every friggin' time. I share so much of his stuff. It's so good. Not that Gareth knows like way beyond, but this young guy has this really beautiful, simple way of putting so many of these concepts in a post. So I just thought I'd
Great,
share that.
and you're seeing an explosion of it around the world. It's awesome to watch. And I
Aren't
think
you?
it's just going to get
Yeah.
more.
And while you're seeing that, you're also being pulled from listening to so many others, because like they don't know and
Mm,
they think they know, and everyone's charging a lot of money for their communities, and like I understand the intention, but it's more doing instead of being. Just,
mm.
be quiet and wait for the
That's why
inspiration. Stop pushing
I'm
all
not
the
going
stuff.
to. Yeah.
You're not going to monetize, right?
No,
I
I
mean,
don't
that's
monetize
going
my
to,
work.
no, there's no, I
Not that
mean,
I'm judging anyone who does, because
no, not at
sometimes you
all.
put a lot into it. But
Sure.
it just adds a layer of complication, it's too important. It's too important that
And
people
people are
understand
trying
what's
to
happening.
stay alive here. People are trying to
Mm.
stay alive here. Like Mike and I were talking the other day, like it's like I can barely take care of myself. I can't take care of anybody else right now. Like we're just desperate for relief. So I understand the doing. I used to be a doer. Um, but it just doesn't fly anymore. It doesn't sit right.
Yeah, and
So anyway,
we're all just getting clear, just trying to get clear about who we are in all of this to get grounded again, and that's That's as it should be, because the false self has been the whole problem all along.
Teresa just says, my friend had 9 clients in 2 weeks say they didn't know who they were now. She's a unique spiritual healer of sorts. 9 clients in 2 weeks say they don't know who they are anymore. Right? But then there's those ones who are going to just cling to the old, right? And
Yeah.
they're just going to cling to what they think is real. And it's a shame. Doing is getting very difficult, Mike. I agree. Yeah. And Jason says monetization for spiritual growth. Very interesting. Spiritual growth can't be monetized. I mean, I understand content and effort and valuing time and all of that, but I don't know. There's something
It's a
you can
tough
feel
one.
it. It is a tough one, and I really don't mean to judge or condemn or any of that, but there's an energy in it, and people can feel it, right? Like
And
money
again,
isn't real, but the energy in money is real, right?
and
Go on.
this is the thing, we're trying to balance 5D with 3D, and the intention behind keeping us stuck in 3D, it's full of all of this darkness and sort of insidiousness and compromise, and trying to bring spirituality back in to connect it with physicality. It's like we've still got to bridge a big chasm that was put there deliberately somehow. I mean, I work a crap job just so I can, which doesn't pay enough money just to keep the bills there, just to have that running in the background, and it takes a lot out of you. You got to do a full-time job and have enough energy to kind of do this, but I know it's temporary. That's the thing. I've been shown too much. I understand that the way this works is you surrender all of that. You give, how the hell is this going to work? You give that back to your source. You do that. I do that with Tom all the time. I don't know how to join the dots, but he does. So I'm just going to keep putting one foot in front of the other and trust it that I can read it as it happens. And that's exactly what's happened. My whole life I've been doing that. And it works. It does work. It just doesn't look the way you think it does. But the reason for that
No.
is your mind is not qualified to judge what everything should be, firstly, and it's been riddled with belief systems that are working against you, not for you. So a lot of the time, the process you go through is not just about getting you where you want to go. It's about undoing the stranglehold of this network of belief systems that all riddle through your mind that actually work against you, that you think are important, that actually are not important. You've also, it's a very personal process as much as you sharing anything else with the world. Now, it's great to have hubs where different people can come together and share what they've experienced. And that's hard to pull off in this world. But again, what's coming this year will take all that away. There's a financial revolution on the way in that'll remove the centralization of power within the banking system so that wealth can be evenly distributed again. And again, that's going to happen this year.
This is so funny. Karen in the chat says, Mom said last week at 82 that she feels like she has woken from a deep sleep and is going what have I been doing? And Karen, she goes on, she says, no connection with this type of content. Beautiful to witness the shift in her direction. And like, Karen, I had an awakening. I don't know what you know about me, but I had an awakening in 2021 after a couple of years of a very dark depression, and it's gotten worse. I say it's gotten worse because it's gotten really dark night of the soul, like dark. Thank God I'm here. But my 82-year-old mom, and she's probably going to yell at me because she's 82 in April. She's not 82 right now. But my 82-year-old mom believes as I do now. She stopped taking all of her cardiac meds, Karen. She eats organic. She filters her water. She doesn't believe the government. She got her money out of the matrix. Like, my 82-year-old mother woke up from the stupor too, simply by being in my field and experiencing my awakening through me. Like, how cool is that?
Sarlon the Destroyer.
Sarlon the Destroyer.
Her name's Sarah, but
Anyway.
her email is
Yeah, Sarah
Sarlon.
Loader. Sarah Sarlon. Yep, because it's the first three of her first and last name.
So as soon as I heard it, I just thought, oh wow, that's such a cool name. That should be in Lord of the Rings or something.
Sarlon
the
Destroyer.
Destroyer of the Matrix. Yeah, it's
Well, if I were going to
fantastic
do
to
the
see.
first, it is fantastic to see, and it's unique. Like, people, she's gone to many spiritual events with me, and she's in lockstep with me. Kind of knows the concepts better than I do. I remember early in my awakening years ago, we were driving. I said this on a show maybe 12 shows ago, but who knows who's here. But we were in the car, and my pet peeve is drivers. Like, I don't care if you believe in God, but please learn how to drive, which I do. Of course I care. Of course I care. I was just making a point at how much I can't stand poor driving. But we're in the car, and I'm cursing somebody who cuts me off or something like that. And I'm like, Jesus, what do they think? They're the only person in the world? And my mom goes, well, yeah, technically they are. And I'm like, Jesus, like she gets the concepts that, like, I have to have hammered into my head like every day for 3 years to really understand. My mother gets it in like one fell swoop. Okay.
That's funny. That reminds me. The Arcturians said to me years ago, "You are all the center of the universe." That's the way they put it.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
all
it's the ocean analogy. We are not the drop in the ocean. We are the ocean in the drop. Like, we are all of it. We are everything. Yeah. So with that being said, I'm tired. I don't know about you.
Look, we're all exhausted, and that's fair enough. And it's a very intense time. But look, it's also the most beautiful time in human history and the history of the universe. And you're seeing the great coming together and a great falling apart. And what's falling apart is it's the best thing that could ever happen. And the Galactic Federation of worlds around us are cheering. Like, it's fantastic what's been happening here. So stay with it. Death is an
Yeah.
illusion. Just remember that. There is no death.
Say that again. Death is an illusion.
There is
Remember
no
that.
death.
Yes, absolutely. There is no death. Absolutely. Absolutely. But wait until everybody finds out the truth about cancer. Woo, they're going to be pissed. But what I was going to say about, aren't they going to be pissed? I was on a live premiere with Heart Coherence Collaborative today, and they had, Kyle and Leah had Belissa Hawking on. She's another one who speaks really some good stuff. I don't like the stuff around government or stuff, but that could be my own filter. Maybe I heard it a certain way. But she was saying some really good stuff too. And you were just saying something that made me bring up Delisa Hawking. And now I can't remember what. Oh, that in the chats, I did reference you numerous times, as I always do. I did say it's the great falling apart and the great coming together. And that if the humanity truly knew what was happening, we'd be dancing in the streets. That was one of the first things I remember you ever telling me when we became friends. And I have never forgotten that. And I've repeated it, and it helps a lot of people to hear that. If we truly had the understanding of what this time was, we'd be so much happier than we are.
Yeah. It's just hard to lose everything you thought was real.
Yeah.
And there's been a wave of NDEs, massive wave of NDEs to show us.
Yes.
It's not what we think. It's not what we think. So just
consistency too around the world. Yeah. In the NDEs, sorry. Consistency in the NDEs around the world. Yeah.
That's right. Well, death is a transition, and time God called this the transition. So we're transitioning. So ego death is like death. So this false ego, this false sense of reality, this human nature, oh, what can you do? That's human nature. Oh, what can you do? That's life. This whole false belief system. No, it isn't. It's not life. That's what we're experiencing. That's not life. And what you're seeing in people, that's not human nature. It's the interference talking. So
Yep.
that's all coming
Yep.
out to be met and seen. In the end times, everything that's hidden shall be seen. Again, take away the biblical speak, decode it. When the fourth dimension stops being a barrier between physicality and spirituality, which is what's playing out right now, time is breaking down into a multi-dimensional portal. When that time comes, which is now, then everything comes back together the way it always should have been. Your heart and your head,
Yeah.
no conflict. What you see in everybody else, you see in yourself. You treat other people the way you want them to treat you just because you know they are, and they do the same. There's no conflict.
When you know your
It's
own
just
mind, you know all minds.
Yeah. You just got to know your own
Roseanne
mind.
Roseanne just said, "How did you two meet?" So years ago, my friend Christy, who is local to me, brought me in on a Zoom call. She's always been wonderful about bringing me into, she's very entrepreneurial and very spiritual, been awake for a very long time. And I've always tried to support her in whatever things she does. And she was in this financial group, and she's equally generous with me, always tried to bring me in on the ground floor of whatever was happening in the background. So she and Gareth have been in multiple financial communities meaning those systems that are being built in the background while the central banking system crumbles. So Gareth and Christy have known each other for years, and I've known Christy for over 20 years. And so she brought me in on a Zoom with Gareth, and I can remember he had either just lost his job or just started his job, and he was sitting in his car on a Zoom with me, this weird Australian guy. And we never stopped talking. We were talking about financial stuff, and we never stopped talking. And we've gone, it was instantaneous. I can't even play it back in my mind right now, but I was in such despair that I had to talk to him every single day. I don't have to talk to him every single day anymore. I totally give him a break now. But yeah, it became this symbiotic exchange of energy and love. And I love his wife. I don't know his kids, but I love his kids. It took on an entire life of its own, And
it was timing. I needed to connect with someone who could actually hear what I was saying, so that I could pull together what it was that I'd experienced in a form that I could communicate. And you never know the consequences. This is what I'm talking about. Katie needed to connect with someone who could, but the reason we could connect is it was time for me to start pulling it together in a form I could speak, but Katie could hear it. She could hear it at that level. That was the first time. So it was like we pulled that out of each other. And then it was a little while later, the Arcturian said, it's time for you to go public. And I've learned to see to read that feeling, the golden thread, I call it, following the golden thread. It kind of lights up, and I see the pattern. This is part of it. So I watch it, so I follow it, and one thing leads to another, and here we are. The reason I can start to speak, and it's getting better and better, more and more clearly, is because I've been able to talk with someone about it. Because before that, I was pretty much alone in it. But that had to be that way too, just like all of you. You're going through the same thing. So don't discount these coincidences. You never know what they're going to lead to.
Yeah. Don't discount who you met at any time. And even if they were there for a year or 30 years and now they're gone, don't discount any of it. Like so many in the chats, I personally know, and we are in each other's lives for a reason. Like Anne can hear me, what? And is in the same dark, and we're up and down, and like all you gotta say is a word and they get it. Roseanne, like, I mean, offered to talk to my family
Yeah.
on my behalf. Like Roseanne's like my surrogate mom. Roseanne's like, oh, she's such a mom. I just love her. Okay. Anyway, I'm tired. Okay, now we
Anyway,
can go.
it's tiring. We're all tired. It's intense, right? So we'll keep going, and as things roll out. I mean, today was a bit sort of, I don't know, like you're falling down a hill, just
I don't
trying to
know.
go with it. So
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and Mike. I can't forget Mike. Oh my God. And Janelle. Oh my
all
God.
right,
I'm gonna forget somebody. Mike, my travel buddy. I've been traveling with Mike for years now. Everybody in the chats. I love the chat so much. I can't even stand it. I'm here for the chats. Just like on all the lives that I attend, I'm in love with the chats more than I am with the chat. The chats are
you're
where the
great.
gold is.
You're great at keeping tabs on all that.
Yeah.
So
All
yeah, we'll
right.
get more
Love
clear,
you.
and there's a lot playing out. We'll get a lot clearer about it as it plays out over the next few weeks. So stay with it, everyone. It's perfect, it's beautiful, it's amazing, and you're going to be blown away. But this time, by the end of the year, yeah, you're going to be like, whoa, now I get it.
Oh, Kylie's on. Mwah. All right. Love you guys. I have no idea how to leave. I think I'm just going to shut.
Hang up.
There's no end. Oh, there it is. This is a new Todd put us on a new service. So okay. Rage Against the Darkness. Janelle, love you. Okay.
I'll turn it off.
Love everybody.
I got you.
We
All
got
right.
it. We
Thanks,
got
Todd. Love you.
it. See you,
Love you.
Todd.
Good night,
Thanks,
everybody.
guys.